Today I'm going to show you a step-by-step guide in how to carve this simple wax ring, and then I'll cast it in silver just for fun. Hey guys, I know there's a lot of folks out there on lockdown at the moment, and let's face it, boredom bites. So I thought a nice how-to style video might just help. A few weeks back, a US publisher sent me these two books on wax carving. These are improved quality reprints of previous editions, which at the time sold for $50 each. Thankfully they're much cheaper now, and of course I've also managed to wangle a discount code for my viewers. But more about that later if you're interested. These books are very much a step-by-step guide, with brief instructions and photographs to teach the reader some basic wax carving skills. As wax carving is a skill I admire, with the permission of the publisher, I'll be taking you through the first exercise in this book. Steps 1, 2 and 3 are easy enough. It's simply a matter of taking a wax tube and cutting this to size. Wax tubes can be purchased cheaply enough online, and I'd recommend going for the hard wax for what follows. Unfortunately, I didn't have any wax tubes, but I did have this carving wax to hand. It's great stuff as it can be machined, and that's what I needed to do. There, now I'm ready to start. Well, actually, I'm up to step 6. Step 7 is about scribing more guidelines, 1mm from the edges. I found a simple compass worked well for this. I replaced the lead with a small nail. Step 8 is a little tricky, as it requires free-hand skills. I skipped to step 9, drawing a tangent line across the top of the circular opening. I then used the ring that I made last week as a circle template to complete step 8, but a small coin would work just as well. Step 10 is also tricky. I took a thin piece of card and matched up the guidelines before scribing in a line. This gave me consistency on all 4 markings. Step 11 involves sawing, and I used a jeweler's saw, but a small hacksaw would work fine on this hard wax. Step 12 is a real bravery test, using the saw to slice the 2 edges, cutting along the guidelines made by the cardboard template. I then cleaned everything up with some 120 grade sandpaper, which for me took care of step 13. Step 14 had me marking in the lost guidelines. Step 15 is where the real shaping begins, rounding all the sides to just shy of the guidelines using a coarse file. A small rasp or some coarse sandpaper would work, but lucky me, I have none of the above. Fortunately, this wax carves beautifully, and simply scraping a sharp utility blade very lightly over the surfaces shaves away nicely. And those who attempted to write in and tell me how dangerous this is, please remember I'm going to be handling 1000-degree molten metal in a moment. It does a pretty good job, but a coarse file would have been more practical. Step 16 required a round file to expand the central hole, presumably to finger size. Guess what I don't have? A small length of copper piping with sandpaper did the job for me, and also took care of step 17. From there on, the steps are a little bit samey, and in honesty, for me, the images were also a bit samey and vague. Being small and black and white, there wasn't a great deal of clarity. But it wasn't rocket science. It was simply a matter of taking rough to fine files and filing things to shape. Though of course I had no such files. Fortunately, I had a stick. With coarse sandpaper, this would have been even better, but 120 grit did the job for me, but just a bit more slowly. Firstly, I smoothed out the edges. Then I beveled the top at 45 degrees. I then followed the edges, again trying to bevel at 45 degrees. Then it was a case of beveling each bevel line that I'd created. Now it felt like it was getting somewhere. It was rounding off, but the upper corners were still a little square, there was still guidelines shown in places, and it looked a little thick throughout. So a sanding frenzy ensued. Sure enough, something ring-shaped finally appeared. I then took some 240 grade paper and rubbed everything down, smoothing away the majority of the sanding lines. I followed this with 400 grit paper before reaching my favourite part, rubbing everything down with ladies' stockings. The fun part, of course, isn't the rubbing, it's how you manage to get hold of the stockings. But this genuinely does smooth the wax out a treat. And that's not bad. It needs a little more rubbing with stockings, and whilst fishnets are my preference, a high denier is more ideal to remove these tiny blemishes and scratches. Now you might think this ring is a little bland, but it's more about the exercise. It's more about learning how to work the wax, and the book does suggest how this ring can be adopted into more interesting patterns. There's also plenty of tips on all sorts of things, including casting, as well as plenty of more ring and jewellery making exercises. And whilst I should have hollowed out this ring to lighten it, I opted to have a go at casting it as a heavy beast of a ring. Nice. You know, I'd forgotten how well wax casts. It's pristine, a very crisp casting. 10 minutes in boiling water with a spoonful of citric acid removes the oxidization. Now it's just a case of sanding with ever finer grades of paper. Shiny. That's a stonking heavy silver ring that would probably cost a fortune at a jeweller's store, but it's cheaply cast at home thanks to wax and the instructions in this book. These two books are available online directly from the publisher, and I'll place a link in the description. The US-based publisher is happy to distribute to pretty much anywhere in the world, but postal charges do come into play. To help in this regard, the publishers have kindly provided a discount code for you guys, which is VOG5. This discount gives you $5 off each book, and if you buy both books, it doubles up to $10. I genuinely enjoyed this wax making process and found it quite relaxing. The books, whilst a tad vague in places, are simple enough to follow, with many examples to help the would-be carver learn the basics. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this how-to style video. Why not give it a go yourselves and let me know how you get on. So that's it for now guys. Take care, and thanks for watching.